The kitchen clock still showed 2:37 in the morning, although time seemed to have stopped there much longer. Outside, the city slept in a thick fog, thick enough to hide even the streetlights. But inside, in that apartment on the 14th floor of an old building in Chicago, everything was awake. The walls were permeated with the memory of unsaid things, ungiven touches, swallowed screams. Each room seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for a gesture, for a decision that never came. The gray sofa in the center of the room still bore the mark of a body that never returned. The sunken pillows, the blanket folded in a way that wasn't hers. And yet, she lived there alone. The silence in that apartment was unnatural. It was forced, trained. A type of silence you only learn after many years of choosing not to feel. She walked barefoot, her feet touching the icy ground as if testing the reality beneath her. With each step, the lights in the house flickered slightly, as if reacting to his presence. The kitchen, organized to the extreme, revealed more than it hid. There were no dirty dishes, no traces of everyday life. Everything there seemed like a scenario of something that ended before it began. Outside, a taxi passed slowly, its headlights cutting through the fog like razors. The street was deserted except for a man standing under the empty bus stop. He didn't move, didn't seem to wait. It was just there like a memory that refuses to go away. It was at that moment that the phone rang. A sharp sound, almost cruel at that time of the morning. She didn't run to answer it. He just looked at the display. No name, no identification. Just a long, foreign, cold number. Like the voice that had been echoing in his mind for years, telling him to never call again, to disappear, to forget. But forgetting is not something you choose. It's something that happens. Or not. He sat on the edge of the bed as if balancing between the past and the present. The sheet was rumpled, as if someone had tried to sleep there and failed. And in a way, that was exactly it. Her insomnia was no ordinary insomnia. It was emotional wakefulness, a silent wait for something that would never return the way it left. Years before, in that same city, she smiled more. His face was marked with a lively expression. He spoke with his hands. He left the windows open even on cold days. Love arrived as unseasonably warm days arrive, unexpected, beautiful, but doomed. She didn't see the signs that it wasn't made to last, and when he saw it, it was too late to run away without getting hurt. The first disappointment was small. A delay. A message that didn't come. Then, an absence. An excuse. A blank look. The body is present, but the soul is elsewhere. People didn't see what she lost. They only saw what she started to hide. Shorter smiles, drier answers, looks that no longer fixed. Little by little, she learned that love was like walking barefoot over invisible shards. You don't know exactly when you cut yourself, you only notice when it starts to bleed. And it bled. In silence, with elegance. As do those who refuse to give others the pleasure of knowing that they hurt. The city passed by her like the wind passes by tall buildings, without caring. People changed, cafes closed, neighbors changed faces. But it was still there, like a scar that doesn't disappear even after the skin has renewed itself. Once, during a winter storm, she opened all the windows in the house. The wind invaded, as if it wanted to take away everything that was light. But nothing moved. Not the curtains, neither did she. He had learned to be a stone. And being stone is sometimes the only way to not be dust. But even stones crack. And they crack inside. On one of those long, empty Sundays, she found an old photograph between the pages of a book that she no longer remembered reading. It was her and someone who made her smile with her eyes. There was no date, but there was memory. The kind of memory that doesn't need permission to hurt. The pain was silent, but it spoke loudly. He said she wasn't born cold. Nobody is born. Coldness, in fact, is just a shield shaped by repeated disappointments. It's the body saying enough when the soul still wants to try. Suddenly the sound of the world returned. A car honking in the distance, a couple arguing upstairs, the kettle starting to boil. And there she was, still on the edge of the bed, as if she didn't know whether she was going to sleep or live again. The following days were made up of small breaks, responded to old messages. He took clothes out of his closet that he hadn't worn in years. He started walking to the market, even when he didn't need to. He began to notice the people around him, the baker who wore the same holy apron, the neighbor who always talked to herself in the elevator, the boy who left yellow flowers at the school gates on Fridays. It was as if, little by little, something inside her was melting, slowly, silently. It wasn't about loving again, it was about feeling again. And feeling, she knew, was risky. But living without feeling was worse. It was surviving. One night, the rain fell unexpectedly. She left without an umbrella. He let himself get wet. He looked at the sky as if asking something without expecting an answer. The streets were empty, but she didn't feel alone. For the first time in a long time, there was acceptance, not from pain, but from humanity itself. No one is cold by nature. People learn. They learn to smile less, to trust less, to give half as much. They learn to swallow what they feel because, at some point, someone made it seem wrong to feel too much. But what is living if you are not feeling intensely? She came home that night with her shoes soaked and her heart beating strangely. It wasn't pain. It wasn't fear. It was life. And for the first time, the lights in the apartment didn't flicker when she entered. They lit up steady. Clara's, as if to say, "Welcome back. You weren't born to be ice. You just learned that heat hurts. But there is beauty in melting. There is freedom in being vulnerable. And sometimes, all the world needs is for someone to have the courage to feel again." If this story reminded you of someone, maybe it's time to send it, or to return, or to allow it, because feeling was never the problem. Forgetting how you feel, that's the real danger.